This large flower painting is by a French artist called Jean-Baptiste, and he worked mainly in the court of Louis XV. He was the son of a painter, and his son also became a painter, but he is the most successful of the Oudry clan. He made his living painting for the court. He gained quite a high position there, but nevertheless in that position you paint what is asked for, and so he found himself through his life getting commissions from the court, from the king himself, from anyone close to the king and queen, but he really couldn't paint what he wanted to. He could carve out a kind of area for himself, but he basically had to do what was required of him. And the kinds of paintings that he ended up doing, sort of panels that went above doors, portraits of the king's favorite dogs, for example, to complicated hunting scenes of the whole court out hunting, huge landscapes. He was particularly well known for his pictures of dead animals, of game that had been taken. It may seem odd to some people. In fact, they're deeply unfashionable with American collectors these days, having dead animals on your wall. But it was very popular at the time. Showed your prowess in hunting, and showed that this was the kind of activity that you had the leisure to do. This picture here shows a corner of a garden of a man called Monsieur de la Bruyer, and it testifies to the interest in flowers, the growing interest in the science of flowers in the 18th century. If this picture had been painted 100 or so years earlier in the 17th century, perhaps in Holland, these kinds of flower vases that influenced it, the flowers would be there because they symbolize particular qualities: beauty, death, love, jealousy, all of those kinds of things that flowers can still stand for. But a Dutch person of the 17th century could read that. They would be able to see that the way that these various qualities, passions, were balanced. But there isn't that sense about this picture here. What you have rather are some tulips growing in the ground, and then you have this lovely classical urn, brass or bronze urn, with these very different kinds of flowers coming out of them, and one of the carnations has fallen to the side, and then you have, rather oddly I think, this moth, very large moth, floating in the middle of the picture, and up there you have a parrot looking down. So it evokes a rather sort of special, very, very gracious, quiet life with a tinge of exoticism to it. And you have the contrast here between the natural flowers growing and the pot on the other side. And that's one of the things that really draws me to this picture. French art is very well known for its symmetry, its perfect balance, the way that everything is balanced on one side to another. But this picture is, in an odd way, sort of wildly asymmetrical. It's quite un-French. It has almost a kind of a surrealist quality compared to the other art of the time. And that's what really attracts me to this picture, that it's so out of balance, and it's so unlike the otherwise very carefully composed, not always completely symmetrical, but very, very carefully balanced compositions that you associate from people like Oudry, except of course in its own sophisticated way it does have a sort of balance that keeps it within Oudry's oeuvre, but just a charming, relaxing work, not full of human or supernatural drama. Very much speaks about the court of Louis XV, where people spent an enormous amount of time trying to fill in their days because they had so very little to do and so many resources. And this picture exudes that kind of sense of the slow time and the grace, and just wandering around, as this suggests, wandering around in the garden, picking and arranging flowers.